Ari, this is Pratson 5. No, it is not damage control. This is the 5th issue of Pratson, and the series maybe starts getting better from here. I think I have said that with every issue. This one ends with an appearance of the Tiny Titans, but didn't get your hopes up if you were wanting to see Dick Grayskull or Star Fox or any of the Tiny Titans that you remember. They are virtually unrecognisable. The fake Hulk is dead. And now Pratson and his superpowered love interest, they have walked into the middle of Golden Age superhero Simon Williams trying to shut down Baron Blitzkrieg's drug ring. Disappointed to say that there isn't a scheme to put heroin in the milk. So I felt let down by this issue. I explained who Simon Williams was last Pratson video, and I touched on Baron Blitzkrieg. I am not going to just cheat and repeat the same cutaways and factually correct but intentionally misnamed overview of their histories. We get some new parts of their shared history revealed here, like after the war, Baron Blitzkrieg allegedly killed Simon Williams's lady love. And I have phrased that in such a way to clearly hint that she is still alive. The corners of this copy of the issue are annoying. They're folded in a bit. Remember when people used to roll a comic up and put it in their back pockets? What was that about? The idea of doing that with an issue these days is absurd to me. You're just making it very likely to be like this. A bit of a nuisance to turn the pages with. Our title character, Pratson, I feel he is a sufficient creation. He has enough life after his initial push. And Damage Control began in 1988. This Marvel title was a humorous comedy book poking holes in bureaucracy and the collateral damage caused by superheroes. Like most comedy books, it's not very funny. There are some gags in it that might raise a titter from you, but overall, it is funnier to the people writing than to most readers. The first issue features an appearance of the Dr. Doom-led Avengers, without Dr. Doom, and with Spider-Man instead of Dr. Doom. Much better team. Nobody is going to get violated by Spider-Man. For a few years, Damage Control would get a mini-series every year. I have read the one that ties in with Acts of Vegans. There is some okay ideas in there, like the incorporation of Speedy Bells. But there is also shite that probably shouldn't be happening in the Marvel Universe because it seriously hurts it. I am also familiar with the final miniseries, which was in some way a parody of crossovers, lots of cameos from Marvel heroes in it. Edifice Rex, that is the bad guy. Edifice Rex. Genius. It's like they saw my channel and put it in the comics. After their miniseries stopped happening, They stayed around in the background of the Marvel Universe as some house cleaning. If a bad guy knocks down a building or destroys the Brooklyn Bridge, writer doesn't have to care to explain the reconstruction. Just say damage control. They finally got another miniseries in the 2000s, and I am skipping their use in Civil Wars, which is stupid. After World War Hulk, they got a miniseries, mainly of note to me because it has Thunderballs in it, and they do some stuff with Speedy Balls and his transformation into Spiky Balls. I still need to do a video about that. Don't worry, I am saving my thoughts until then. I stopped reading Marvel in 2012, and I don't know or care what has become of Damage Control. Even if I was still reading, I probably wouldn't care. I like the one in the skirt though. But this is Pratt's son, not Damage Control. Following 3 issues with a Hulk ripoff, and seeing some of the dreadful bad guys in other 90s titles starring new heroes, I must admit some draw to Baron Blitzkrieg. And I didn't think it is just because he spells his name correctly. There's something inherently better. It is easier to take him seriously than a lot of 90s bad guys. And I am saying that even when his costume and design is basically just a shirt with rolled up sleeves. There is bad scripting on this page though. Pratt's son and Simon Williams start having a private conversation when they are right in front of the bad guy. And then, on the flip side of characters, they have given very, very little to go on with the girl. She has powers. Powers we didn't really know the extent of. And she doesn't really have any connection to anything that's going on. Also, the pervert Ant-Man worked for Damage Control, and he did some of his most selfless acts, helping with search and rescue efforts. I need to point out the writing and the art for these first 5 issues have been at best average. It is very run-of-the-mill 90s stuff, mediocre through and through. Something that a person would pick up in a store and take one look at and correctly assess that it's nothing special. Holding this series up is that the title character has some potential, not just beyond this series, but there is a couple of things within these issues that make Pratt's son stand out a bit more. I think a key thing is that his power set would traditionally be a bad guy's power set. We have this scene between Pratt's son and woman, which is definitely trying to build something, but it's very obvious writing. Are you ready for some backstory on the girl who cannot spell her own code name? I was not sitting on the edge of my seat wanting her to fill us in on her past in South Africa. And here is a look at all the damage that Pratt's son's powers have caused. He needs to better control his power. He needs to control the damage that he is causing. He needs some sort of damage control. I am going to skip a few pages to get on to my next point. Pratt's son is weird because he was introduced in between two crossovers designed to introduce new characters. First, we had the Abominable Blood Ties crossover, and Pratt's son could easily have been a new character that was created and debuted in one of those. Then there was, as advertised here, 0 Hours, Christmas in Time. Pratt's son even ends up as a big player in the crossover, and maybe he could have been introduced there instead. So it seems odd that we have this character debuting in between two crossovers filled with new characters, new titles, and stuff like that. Another thing with this issue is that it is happening at the same time as an issue of Tiny Titans. Tiny Titans 114, which I do not own, and if I did own it, I would review it before covering this. That basically shows the Tiny Titans assembling and setting off to make their appearance on the last page of this issue. Here they are, the recognisable Tiny Titans in all their glory. Even the two well-known ones here, you probably won't clock straight away. This version of the team were on their way out to be replaced by a more enticing lineup with characters with some actual appeal. They have been called in to deal with all this commotion and property destruction being caused by Pratt's son and his fights with various things. I never feel I can recommend these Pratt's son comics. You've got to have an interest in this character already from other comics to actually get much out of these. Maybe this is an unfair comparison, but it is sort of like Speedy Balls. We all like Speedy Balls in the New Warriors, and then you go back and read his solo series, and they are pretty terrible. But you like Speedy Balls, so you have a little bit more patience for it. These Pratt sons aren't entirely terrible. They are better than the Speedy Balls comics, but so is having your dick cut off. I think these Pratt sons are better than losing any appendage, especially a thumb or 7 thumbs. What could I put up without my thumbs?